It is a near impossible task to imagine the emotion of that day.
In a stunning moment that palace insiders are calling unprecedented, King Charles did the unthinkable. Tears streaming down his face, the monarch uttered words that left everyone speechless. What he said about Catherine, Princess of Wales, has sent shockwaves through the royal family and exposed a secret bond nobody saw coming.
Who this year have supported me and other members of my family through the uncertainties and anxieties of illness, and have helped provide the strength, care, and comfort we have needed.
Palace staff rushed to contain the fallout, but it was too late. The truth about their relationship during the darkest year of their lives has finally been revealed, and what happened behind closed doors will leave you absolutely stunned. When Catherine Middleton first prepared to meet the man who would one day become king, she felt the weight of the moment. It was more than a decade ago, and she was about to step into a world entirely different from her own upbringing. In her official engagement interview with Prince William in November 2010, Catherine spoke candidly about that initial encounter. She admitted to being quite nervous about meeting William's father, but what she found surprised her. Instead of the formal, distant figure she might have feared, Charles was very welcoming and very friendly. The meeting couldn't have gone easier for her, she recalled. It was a small but significant moment that would set the foundation for years to come. From the beginning, Charles recognized something special in the young woman his eldest son had chosen. Palace insiders have noted that when William and Catherine got married, something shifted in the dynamics of the royal family. Catherine seemed to understand instinctively what the institution required. She grasped the expectations, the responsibilities, and the delicate balance between public duty and private life. Her integration into royal life was remarkably seamless, and this didn't go unnoticed by Charles. Those close to the king have said he became genuinely grateful for how naturally Catherine adapted to her role. The relationship between a monarch and his daughter-in-law could easily have remained purely formal, restricted to official functions and ceremonial occasions. But Charles and Catherine developed something more personal. Unlike the stiff upper lip persona the world often sees, Catherine came to know a different side of Charles. He revealed a silly sense of humor around her and the family, becoming an easygoing grandfather eager to listen to stories from his grandchildren. Around Catherine and the family, Charles transformed into someone more relaxed, more human. What makes their relationship particularly touching is how Catherine treats him. Rather than maintaining the distance one might expect when addressing a king, she approaches him as a father figure. She calls him often, not out of obligation, but out of genuine care. This warmth has been reciprocated in ways both public and private. Charles has always maintained what those around them describe as a close, warm, and unique relationship with the princess. Catherine, in turn, holds a great love and respect for him and his position. It's a delicate balance they've managed to strike, honoring both the personal connection and the institutional reality of their roles. The royal family has witnessed many relationships over its long history, but the one between Charles and Catherine stands out for its authenticity. Royal commentators and historians have noted that Catherine's approach reminded many of a different era, when family bonds within the monarchy seemed stronger and more genuine. When Charles celebrated the births of Catherine and William's children, his joy was evident and heartfelt. After Princess Charlotte was born in May 2015, he told well-wishers that she was beautiful, adding with characteristic humor that he had been hoping for a granddaughter, someone to look after him when he was very old. The fact that Charlotte's name is the feminine form of Charles led many to speculate that she was named after her grandfather, a tribute that would have touched him deeply. Similarly, when Prince Louis arrived in 2018, Charles expressed his delight while also joking about the challenge of keeping up with his growing number of grandchildren. One of Louis's middle names is Charles, another possible tribute that speaks to the affection within the family. These weren't just ceremonial moments or official statements. They were genuine expressions of a grandfather's love, shared with a daughter-in-law he had come to cherish. The strength of their bond became even more apparent during formal recognitions. In 2024, King Charles made a historic decision that surprised many royal watchers. He awarded Catherine the Order of the Companions of Honor, a rare recognition that made her the first member of the royal family to receive this particular honor. The timing and nature of this award carried deep significance. Royal experts noted that there was a lot of meaning behind the gesture, operating on both personal and professional levels. On one hand, it demonstrated Charles's genuine affection for Catherine. On the other, it sent a clear message about the unity of the royal family and its determination not to repeat the mistakes of previous generations. Constitutional experts pointed out that the award, while perhaps not seeming like much to the average person, represented a significant gesture from the king. Catherine had only been Princess of Wales for less than 2 years at that point, making the honor particularly meaningful. One scholar observed that Charles was publicly reinforcing not just their personal relationship, but also demonstrating that the royal family stood united. The drama and tensions that had characterized earlier decades were not going to be repeated if Charles had anything to say about it. The timing of this honor also reflected Charles's awareness of Catherine's own challenges. Royal observers noted that he took an opportunity to do something that would give her a boost during a difficult period. It wasn't just about recognizing past service, but about offering support and encouragement for the journey ahead. This kind of thoughtful gesture exemplifies the nature of their relationship, one built on mutual understanding and genuine care. Royal expert Jenny Bond, a former BBC royal correspondent, has spoken extensively about the connection between Charles and Catherine. She emphasized that Charles knows what a huge asset Catherine is to the monarchy and how important she is to William. There's genuine affection between them, she noted. Charles must be so proud and happy to know that his son has a wife who will support and love him, just as Queen Camilla supports and loves Charles. This parallel between the two couples highlights how Charles views strong partnerships as essential to the monarchy's success. The relationship also reflects a broader shift in how the royal family operates. Catherine's presence has brought a different energy to the institution, one that balances respect for tradition with a more modern, accessible approach. She represents a bridge between the old and the new, and Charles has recognized this from the beginning. Rather than viewing change as a threat, he has embraced Catherine's fresh perspective and the stability she brings to the family. Throughout the years, even during challenging times for the royal family, the bond between Charles and Catherine has remained strong. They've navigated scandals, public scrutiny, and internal family tensions together. Catherine has stood by the institution even when it would have been easier to step back, and Charles has consistently supported her in return. This mutual loyalty has created a foundation of trust that would prove absolutely crucial when both of them face the greatest challenge of their lives. Their relationship demonstrates that within the formal structure of monarchy, genuine human connections can still flourish. It shows that titles and traditions don't have to create distance, and that a king can also be a caring father figure to his daughter-in-law. As the royal family continues to evolve and adapt to modern expectations, the warmth between Charles and Catherine offers hope that the institution can remain both relevant and human. Little did anyone know that this strong foundation would soon be tested in ways no one could have anticipated, forging their bond into something even more profound and unbreakable. The year 2024 began like any other for the royal family, with carefully planned engagements and the usual rhythm of public duties. But within weeks, everything changed. On the same January day, 2 separate announcements emerged from the palace that would send shockwaves through the nation and fundamentally alter the course of the year ahead. Kensington Palace revealed that Catherine, Princess of Wales, had undergone abdominal surgery and would need time to recover. Hours later, Buckingham Palace announced that King Charles would be receiving treatment for an enlarged prostate. The timing was unusual, and the dual health concerns of 2 senior royals created an atmosphere of uncertainty that would hang over the family for months to come. What started as relatively routine medical procedures soon evolved into something far more serious. In February, the palace made another announcement that caught everyone off guard. King Charles had been diagnosed with cancer. The statement was brief, offering few details about the type or stage of the disease, but the implications were enormous. For the first time in his reign, which had only begun in September 2022 following the death of Queen Elizabeth, Charles would need to step back from public-facing duties to focus on his treatment. The 76-year-old monarch found himself facing a battle he had never anticipated, one that would test not just his physical strength, but his emotional resilience as well. Just 6 weeks after Charles's diagnosis, came news that would devastate the family even further. In March 2024, Catherine announced through a carefully recorded video message that she too had been diagnosed with cancer. The discovery had come as a complete shock. When she underwent her abdominal surgery in January, doctors had not initially suspected cancer, but tests following the procedure revealed its presence, and she had already begun a course of preventative chemotherapy. The announcement was delivered with characteristic grace and composure, but the weight of what she was sharing was unmistakable. For a woman who had always prioritized her privacy and her children's normal upbringing, going public with such personal information required immense courage. King Charles's response to Catherine's announcement was immediate and deeply emotional. Through Buckingham Palace, he released a statement saying he was so proud of Catherine for her courage in speaking as she did. But it wasn't just a formal statement. The palace made it clear that Charles had remained in the closest contact with his beloved daughter-in-law throughout the difficult weeks leading up to her announcement. The word beloved stood out, a term rarely used in official palace communications, revealing the depth of his feelings for Catherine. Behind the scenes, sources confirmed that Charles and Catherine had lunch together just before she recorded her video announcement. It was a private moment between two people facing similar battles, offering each other the kind of understanding that perhaps only they could truly share. The shared experience of cancer created a bond between them that transcended their formal roles. Those closest to the king and princess described how their relationship transformed during this period. When they were both hospitalized, Charles made a point of visiting Catherine regularly. Insiders spoke of him toddling down the corridor to spend time with her, checking on her progress, offering encouragement and support. These weren't ceremonial visits or obligatory check-ins. They were genuine acts of care from someone who had come to love Catherine as his own daughter. He had been encouraging and supporting her throughout the ordeal, providing the kind of steady presence that she needed during such an uncertain time. Royal experts noted that fighting cancer at the same time drew Catherine and Charles closer together in ways that good health never could have. Cancer, as one observer put it, is the great leveler. It strips away titles and protocols, reducing everyone to their fundamental humanity. For Charles and Catherine, their shared diagnosis created a unique understanding between them. They could talk about the fears, the side effects, the exhaustion, and the mental toll in ways that even their closest family members couldn't fully grasp. Former BBC Royal correspondent Jenny Bond observed that Catherine now had a shared experience with the king that neither wanted, but which brought them closer than ever. Cancer was something they were going through together, making their relationship curiously unique within the royal family. The impact on the family was profound. Prince William found himself in an impossible position, trying to support both his father and his wife, while also maintaining some semblance of normalcy for his 3 young children. He later described 2024 as brutal and probably the hardest year of his life. The strain was evident in his public appearances, where the usual ease had been replaced with visible tension. He spoke honestly about the challenge of balancing the need to protect Catherine and the children, while also supporting his father and continuing to fulfill his own royal duties. It was tricky, he admitted, trying to manage all of that while still doing the job expected of him. Throughout this difficult period, Catherine's strength became increasingly apparent to everyone around her. Despite undergoing chemotherapy and dealing with all the physical and emotional challenges that entailed, she maintained her focus on her family and her eventual return to public life. She spoke about the cancer journey being complex, scary, and unpredictable for everyone, especially those closest to you, with humility," she acknowledged. "It brings you face to face with your own vulnerabilities in a way you've never considered before, giving you a new perspective on everything." These weren't just carefully crafted words for public consumption. They reflected genuine insights gained through suffering, insights that she and Charles could discuss together with complete honesty. As the months progressed, both Charles and Catherine began their slow return to public duties. Charles made his first public appearance since his diagnosis at the end of March, visiting a cancer treatment center alongside Queen Camilla. It was a significant moment, signaling that while his treatment would continue, he was well enough to resume some of his responsibilities. Catherine's return took longer, reflecting the intensity of her treatment and her determination to fully recover before stepping back into the spotlight. When she did make appearances, including at Trooping the Color in June, the public response was overwhelming. People weren't just happy to see her, they were inspired by her courage and moved by her transparency about her struggles. The experience fundamentally changed how both Charles and Catherine viewed their roles and their relationship. Charles, who had waited decades to become king, found himself confronting mortality and the limits of his own strength. Catherine, who had built her public image on stability and composure, had to embrace vulnerability and ask for help. Together, they navigated these challenges, supporting each other through the darkest moments. The formal relationship between monarch and princess evolved into something deeper, a connection forged in shared suffering and mutual understanding. By the end of 2024, as the royal family gathered for Christmas at Sandringham, there was a palpable sense of relief and gratitude. In his annual Christmas message, King Charles chose to record his speech at the Fitzrovia Chapel, a former hospital chapel in London, rather than at a royal residence. The choice of location was deliberate and meaningful. Speaking from this space dedicated to healing and care, Charles offered special heartfelt thanks to the selfless doctors and nurses who had supported him and other members of his family through the uncertainties and anxieties of illness. He acknowledged how they had helped provide the strength, care, and comfort that the family needed. While he didn't mention Catherine by name, everyone understood that his words encompassed her journey as well as his own. The year that had begun with such fear and uncertainty was ending with hope. Catherine had completed her chemotherapy in September, announcing that while her path to healing and full recovery would be long, she was determined to take each day as it came. Charles continued his treatment, but had resumed most of his duties, demonstrating the resilience that would become characteristic of his reign. Together, they had survived what Prince William described as the most difficult year imaginable. Their bond, already strong before their diagnoses, had been tested and strengthened in ways that would permanently alter not just their personal relationship, but the entire trajectory of the modern monarchy. What they had endured together would inform every decision they made going forward, every priority they set, and every gesture of compassion they offered to others facing similar battles. When Catherine, Princess of Wales, stepped onto the dais at Trooping the Color in June 2025, the positioning of the royal family members sent a clear message to those who understood the subtle language of royal protocol. Catherine sat alongside King Charles and Queen Camilla to watch the proceedings, a placement that reflected far more than simple family hierarchy. She was there not only as a very senior member of the royal family, but also in her capacity as Colonel-in-Chief of the Irish Guards as they marched by. Royal expert Jenny Bond noted that this positioning was highly significant, demonstrating the elevated role Catherine had assumed within the institution. It was a visual representation of how King Charles viewed his daughter-in-law and the trust he had placed in her. Behind this public display lay a deeper truth about the transformation occurring within the monarchy. Charles had come to recognize Catherine as what royal commentators described as a huge asset to the institution. Her ability to connect with the public, her dedication to her chosen causes, and her steady presence during turbulent times had not gone unnoticed. More importantly, Charles understood how vital Catherine was to Prince William, both personally and professionally. Their partnership represented the future of the monarchy, and Charles was determined to support and strengthen it in every way possible. The genuine affection between Charles and Catherine had become impossible to hide, even within the constraints of royal formality. Those who studied royal dynamics pointed out important parallels and contrasts with previous generations. When Catherine married into the royal family, she received support and recognition from Charles that stood in stark contrast to how Princess Diana had been treated by Queen Elizabeth during the earlier years of her marriage. The royal family had learned painful lessons from the tensions and drama of the 1980s and 1990s, and Charles was determined not to repeat those mistakes. His public shows of support for Catherine, from the prestigious honors he bestowed to the prominent roles he gave her at major events, sent an unmistakable message. This was a united royal family, one that valued and protected its members rather than leaving them isolated and vulnerable. The Order of the Companions of Honor that Charles awarded Catherine in 2024 carried multiple layers of meaning. On the surface, it recognized her service to the royal family and the nation. But on a deeper level, it demonstrated Charles's gratitude for how Catherine had embraced her role and integrated herself so completely into the institution. Royal scholars noted that when William and Catherine got married, Catherine just seemed to get it. She understood what the royal family was about, grasped the expectations and the nature of the job, and integrated so seamlessly that Charles was probably, on some level, really grateful for that. This wasn't something that could be taught or mandated. It was an instinct, a natural understanding that made all the difference. The contrast with previous eras extended beyond just protocol and recognition. Charles's relationship with Catherine reflected a more emotionally intelligent approach to monarchy, one that acknowledged the human needs of those who served the institution. Where previous generations might have prioritized duty above all else, often at great personal cost, Charles seemed to understand that supporting the emotional well-being of family members actually strengthened the monarchy rather than weakening it. This philosophy would prove essential as both he and Catherine faced their cancer battles, but it also informed his broader vision for how the institution should operate. In January 2025, Catherine made an announcement that brought relief and joy to people around the world. After completing her chemotherapy treatment the previous September, she revealed that she was now in remission. The news came during a visit to the Royal Marsden Hospital, the renowned medical center where she had received her treatment. It was her first solo public engagement since 2023, marking a significant milestone in her return to royal duties. During the visit, she met with medical staff and spoke with patients currently undergoing treatment, offering them the kind of encouragement that could only come from someone who had walked the same difficult path. The announcement that Catherine and Prince William had become joint patrons of the Royal Marsden Hospital carried special significance. William had served as the hospital's president since 2007, a role previously held by his mother, Princess Diana. Now, with Catherine joining him as patron, they were creating a new legacy of support for cancer research and treatment. Catherine expressed her hope that through their patronage, they might save many more lives and transform the experience of all those impacted by cancer. It was a commitment born from personal experience and one that clearly had the full support of King Charles, who understood better than most what such advocacy could mean. Prince William's public tributes to his wife during this period offered glimpses into the private strength that had sustained them all. On Catherine's 43rd birthday in January 2025, William shared a heartfelt message that was unusually personal for a member of the royal family known for keeping his emotions private. He called her the most incredible wife and mother, noting that the strength she had shown over the past year had been remarkable. He and their children George, Charlotte, and Louis were all so proud of her. The message, signed simply with his initial W, revealed the depth of his admiration and love. It also reflected the family's collective gratitude for Catherine's resilience and grace under extraordinary pressure. The recognition Catherine received extended far beyond the royal family. In May 2025, Time magazine included her in their inaugural Time 100 Health list, specifically for her work in raising cancer awareness through her public announcement about her diagnosis and treatment. Later that same month, she and William were featured together on Time's first ever Time 100 philanthropy list, honored for modernizing royal philanthropy. These acknowledgments from one of the world's most influential publications demonstrated that Catherine's impact reached far beyond British shores. She had become a global symbol of courage and compassion, using her platform to make a genuine difference in people's lives. Public opinion polls reflected this widespread admiration. Catherine was ranked as the most popular royal in multiple surveys throughout 2024 and 2025. One poll showed that she and William together enjoyed a public approval rating of 75%, significantly higher than the 50% rating for King Charles. This wasn't a source of competition or tension within the family. Instead, Charles recognized it as validation of his confidence in the younger generation. Their popularity strengthened the entire institution, ensuring its relevance and support for decades to come. The relationship between Charles and Catherine had evolved into something that transcended simple familial affection. It represented a partnership built on mutual respect, shared experience, and genuine love. Charles looked at Catherine and saw not just his daughter-in-law, but a woman who embodied the best qualities the monarchy could offer to a modern world. She was compassionate without being weak, dignified without being distant, and resilient without losing her humanity. These were the very qualities Charles hoped would define his own reign and the future of the institution he had inherited. Royal observers noted that Charles's treatment of Catherine stood in stark contrast to some of his other family relationships. While tensions with Prince Harry remained unresolved, and his relationship with Prince Andrew was strained by ongoing controversies, Charles's bond with Catherine provided a source of stability and joy. She had become, in many ways, the daughter he had never had, someone he could trust completely and support without reservation. The fact that she treated him like a father rather than just a king allowed for a warmth and ease in their interactions that brought out the best in both of them. As Catherine gradually increased her public engagements throughout 2025, she did so with Charles's full support and encouragement. He understood that her health and recovery needed to come first, and he never pressured her to take on more than she felt ready to handle. This patience and understanding reflected the depth of his care for her well-being. When she did appear at major events, whether it was Commonwealth Day in March or various charitable engagements throughout the year, Charles made sure she felt supported and valued. His pride in her was evident to everyone who witnessed their interactions. The legacy of their relationship extends far beyond personal affection. Together, Charles and Catherine have demonstrated that the monarchy can adapt and evolve while maintaining its core values. They've shown that vulnerability can be a strength rather than a weakness, that asking for help doesn't diminish dignity, and that genuine human connection remains possible even within the most formal institutional structures. Their shared cancer journey, as painful as it was, ultimately served a greater purpose. It humanized the royal family in ways that no carefully crafted public relations campaign ever could, reminding the nation and the world that behind the crowns and titles are real people, facing real challenges with courage and grace. Looking toward the future, the foundation Charles and Catherine have built together will undoubtedly shape the monarchy for generations to come. When William eventually becomes king, he will do so knowing that his father supported and valued his wife, creating a model of family harmony that can guide future relationships within the institution. Catherine, for her part, will carry forward the lessons learned from Charles about balancing tradition with compassion, duty with humanity. Their bond, forged through adversity and strengthened by mutual respect, stands as a testament to what the modern monarchy can be at its very best.